Hello there, I'm Kios the Ronin Beatmaker, and welcome to Lounge Ronin. All things, everything. And on this episode, well, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And on this episode, we're going to discuss the truth behind the Christ myth. Right on cue. So without further ado, let us get into it. Okay. This article was updated January 5th. Oh, wait, hold on a second. We just made a boo boo. This is not the right article. I knew something was up. One second. Okay, here we go. Apologies. All right. This article was written and updated February 20th, 2022 by Mark Pinkham. All right. The truth behind the Christ myth. Ancient origins of the often used legend. Part 1. What is the origin of the legend of the Christian son who was born of a virgin on December 25th? I'm sure you are familiar with his legend, which states that he was born in a manger surrounded by shepherds and then grew up to be one with his Father in heaven. And most certainly you recall the sequence of events when his Christian son gathered together his important disciples before enduring on his death by torture and subsequent resurrection. And finally, there is the scene at the end of his time on earth when he prophesied his return and then ascended into heaven. Now for my question to you. Who amongst you is now mumbling underneath his or her breath? This can only be a legend of the Christian Jewish Jesus Christ. Sorry, he was Jewish, so mind me. Well, to the rest of you, I would like to inform you that many years before the birth of Jesus, a legend identical to his was the accepted life story of the Persian son of God, Mithras. And before Mithras, a very similar legend was ascribed to various other sons of God worldwide, including the Greek Dionysus, the Egyptian Osiris, the Sumerian Dumuzi, and the Hindu Murugan. In fact, if we keep going back in time many thousands of years earlier, we will discover that this universal legend actually began with the Green Man, the son of a virgin goddess who was born, died, and finally resurrected each and every year. The Ancient Green Man. During the Neolithic Age, which was the era when, as some say, God was a woman, the goddess and her son, the Green Man, were venerated by people worldwide for annually bringing forth the earth's material abundance. A universal legend about them arose that began with the annual impregnation of the virgin earth goddess by the sun, the Father in heaven, and the subsequent birth of her son, the Green Man. This important event occurred annually at the time of the winter solstice, when the spirit of the Green Man that had been slumbering underground in the underworld was shaken back to life. But although his dormant spirit had been stirred, it was not yet fully awake. This did not occur until a few days later, on December 25th, when the sun or solar spirit completely reversed its downward path and took measurable steps along a northerly route. This was an important as above, so below event. It was believed the renewed and revitalization solar spirit above in the heavens had reawakened and revitalized the spirit of his son below and inside the earth. And now the future Green Man could begin his annual gestation period with the womb of his mother, the virgin earth, in anticipation of receiving a new resurrected body in the spring. Sun worship, Saturn worship, occult practices as old as time. Here we have a picture, sculpture of the Green Man at a festival. The legend of the goddess and the Green Man then skips to the vernal equinox, when the Green Man is ready to finally emerge from the womb of his mother. This is the time when the male light equals the female darkness, and their male female polarity fully unites to produce a fresh infusion of life force to cover and fertilize the land. The fetal body of the Green Man is now ready to push out the womb of his mother Earth in the form of a new tender sprouts of spring. Soon his annual resurrection will be complete. This will occur on or around the same day as our Easter, a modern holiday associated with the much more recent resurrection of another son of Virgin. The legend of the Green Man then covers the hot summer months, when the sun rapidly matures as the rapidly maturing vegetable growth of nature. He matures so fast, in fact, that the Green Man not only becomes one with his Father in heaven, but he even mates with and inseminates his own mother. Their cohabitation produces a second infusion of the fructifying life force on earth and manifests as a second prolification of vegetation and accompanying harvest. Ultimately, this event would serve to hasten the Green Man's demise, and soon he would die again with the decaying vegetation and the falling of leaves of autumn. The cause of his death? The sacerdotal interpreters of his legend would later assert that it occurred because of the sins of humanity. It is believed that through original sin, humanity have given up not only its own right, but the right of all life on earth to achieve eternal life. At the close of the Neolithic age, when civilizations arose in place of purely agrarian culture, the ancient legend of the goddess and the Green Man expanded and took on religious overtones. It became a standard myth that was annually recited and dramatically staged, and the temples and the mystery schools of the new fledgling cities, nations, and empires. A feature of its evolving storyline was the Green Man now took on an additional role of king of the world, which he governed under the authority of his Earth Mother. And in some renditions of the legend, the son was said to have met his death in the fall at the hands of his unscrupulous brother, or dark, or evil lord. Here we have a Roman 6th century Green Man mosaic in the Great Palace of Mosaic Museum of Istanbul. Ishtar and Tumes and Tammuz. In the cities of Mesopotamia, the Neolithic legend transformed into the story of the goddess as Inanna or Ishtar, who annually gave birth to a green man's son and future king under the name of Damuzi or Tammuz. It was said that Damuzi/Tammuz grew up to mate with his own mother, while also governing the earth for her. In that order, this ancient legend be reflected in their culture, the inhabitants of the Fertile Crescent enthroned rules of their city states who were acknowledged to be the embodiments of Damuzi and the royal servants of goddess Ishtar. Here we have a photograph of unearthed in the main room of the Palace of Arad. It depicts identical images of a man with a branch or sheaf shaped head, one lying down and the other standing. It may represent the fertile god Tumus, or a similar deity who died in summer and was resurrected in spring. The Museum of Israel. This was also true in Egypt, where the ruling pharaohs were regarded to be incantations of Horus, the son of goddess Isis, and governed under her authority. But in the land of Kemet, although the spirit of the incumbent pharaoh was Horus, his physical body was formed by Seth, the god who governed the crystallization of energy into physical flesh. Together, Horus and Seth, as the twins, created and compromised the physical body of the pharaoh, thus making the Egyptian monarchs modern representatives of the first and greatest king, Green Man Osiris. Here we have illustration from Egypt of the Egyptian deity Osiris as Green Man. Like the ancient Green Man, Osiris was similarly said to die and become resurrected annually in concert with the life and death of nature's vegetation. Osiris's annual resurrection ceremony took place during the annual flood of the Nile River, when the first tender sprouts of nature initially struck their fragile heads above the surface of earth. Semele and Dionysus. One version of Osiris's popular Egyptian myth had him annually murdered by his jealous and evil brother Set each fall. This event was reflected in the legend of Osiris's counterpart in Greece, Green Man Dinos, who was annually slain by his relatives, the evil Titans, but later resurrected. Similar to Green Man Osiris, the mother of Dinos was an earth goddess named Semele, meaning earth, and his father was Zeus, the Father in heaven. In order to awaken Dinos from his slumber at the time of the winter solstice, female representatives of the goddess would loudly bang pots and pans as they descended their way in the ritual procession of the snowy summit of Mount Parnassus. And then, after receiving his new set of clothes at the following spring equinox, The divine Son would cavort in nature along with his own reflection, an alter ego, Pan, a name meaning the all, as in all of nature. Like Osiris, Dionysus became the king of the world, and like his Egyptian counterpart, Dionysus was reputed to have once completely covered the globe while teaching his diverse subjects the art of making and ritually consuming wine. Here we have a modern interpretation of a plate of the ancient Greece featuring Dionysus. Wine made from grapes was recognized as the blood of nature, and since Dionysus was of all of nature, it was his blood. Thus began the ritual of a holy communion through consuming the body and the blood of the divine. And that concludes part one, the truth behind the Christ myth. As you can see, the further you go back in history, the more you realize that every story that is told throughout religion has been shared and time again. Whether it's Noah in Christianity or Manu in Hinduism, both had an ark, both survived the flood, both took animals. How can the same story be told in two different cultures? You have to ask yourself that. Ask yourself why there are scholars and research that suggests and prove that Christ is the reincarnation of the Buddha. They won't tell you that. Right now we are in a time of a cultural and religious revolution as Christianity, Islam, and Judaism battle out. Some might say Zionism, but I'm not here to play semantics. Whether it's Allah, Jehovah, Buddha, Shiva, Krishna, go on and on. All praying to the same God, intellectual design, source, whatever tickles your whistle. To quote a Star Wars character, there is always a bit of truth in legend. Remember that. There is always a bit of truth in legends. Look at the era that we are living in currently. Every day, a myth is revealed to be a truth. Every day, a lie is revealed to be the truth. Every day, a truth is revealed to be a lie. The veil continues to be lifted. Delusion continues to be shattered. domestication systems are corrupted, and humanity finds itself trying to understand what it means to be human, while trying to understand whether or not it's worth living. A complex situation to find ourselves in. While those want us to die and depopulate so they can rise within their transhumanistic agenda of rituals and horror and ghouls. Religion is a necessary battle against evil. However, the problem is, will you allow the leaders of religious denominations tell you what to believe, tell you how to pray, and tell you what path to lead? Or will you seek out the truth in the legends? Will you seek out the knowledge to improve oneself? Will you seek out the opportunities to lead by example? Will you seek out the mystery schools? It doesn't matter what you believe in. All that matters is that you stay true to yourself, with your morals and creeds, and your head held up high, knowing that you are on the right side of history and on the right side of your religious practice and belief system. Do not let anyone determine your faith. Do not let anyone control your belief system. We are all gods. We are all goddesses. Do not be afraid of your potentiality. Do not be afraid of what faith can give you. Be the myth that legends speak of. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Lounge Ronin. All things, everything. If you've made it this far and you like what you've heard, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts below. And sprinkle in a dash of constructive criticism, as that will help me and the channel grow. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.